All right, we're on to L4-11. Lesson 4 was a long one, but we're finally on the last tutorial. There was a lot to cover with sketching because sketching is like the foundation for designing in CAD. So there's a lot to cover. But here we are. We are going to practice sketching, in this case, the trigger shape of the saw. And we're going to do that by help of, or by use of this canvas that we've laid kind of in the background. And then we're going to create a sketch on top of that and more or less kind of map that profile. All right, so we're going to continue with the file from the previous module. If you already have that up, great. And it's called Trigger. Create a new sketch by clicking Create Sketch. Choose the front plane or the XY plane. They call it the front, but it's actually the top for us. Okay, here we are. And we're gonna zoom right on in to the trigger because that's what we are interested in. Since you'll be focusing on the trigger in this module, use the display settings bar to make a zoom window around the trigger. Draw a selection around the saw trigger area and the view will zoom into the selected area. Okay, that's just another way, I guess, to zoom. I'm using the scroll button on my mouse, but that's kind of a neat feature. So let's try that zoom window. We can create a little selection. Oh, I didn't realize it. Let's try that again. Zoom window. That's weird. You click at the center of it. I'm gonna try again. So it looks like I've never used this function before. It looks like you click at the center of the window that you want to zoom. So I'm gonna click in the center of the trigger. Oh God, that's weird. I don't like that very much. I thought it was the top left and then I thought it was the center. It's the top left, so, or the top right. Anyway, doesn't really matter. There we are. Okay. Open the line tool by pressing L on the bottom of the keyboard and use the line tool to draw the bottom, back, and top of the trigger piece. These lines do not need to be exact. Click the green check mark to end the line and then click Escape to leave the line tool. If needed, use a mouse cursor to drag the lines into a more precise position. Okay, simple enough. Line. Okay, and they're saying the trigger is going to go back to like here. And again, we don't have to be precise, at least to begin with. But I do want this to be at 90 degrees, and you can see it's 90 degrees because of the little blue box at the corner point of these two lines. So I do want that to be 90. I'm gonna click that. And I want this one to be 92. And then I can resize it in just a second. Okay, click the green checkbox. Okay, so now I can resize it appropriately. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. It's good enough to start with. Oh, and they had it at 90s as well. Okay, some dimensions can be added to help define the trigger shape. So press D on the keyboard to open the dimension tool. Add a 30 millimeter dimension between the trigger's top line and bottom line. Okay, dimension. Ooh, interesting. So when I clicked that out, it gave me just the horizontal segment, but we want this to be magnitude, sorry, I said horizontal. I meant vertical segment of this line, but we actually want the magnitude. So let's delete that. All right, that's the magnitude, and we know that because it's parallel to the segment, and we want that to be 30. Okay, that seems kind of silly. Seems silly because, well, maybe we need to rotate it. Will it rotate? No. All right. I'm gonna move this out just a little bit. And I'm gonna move this down. Sorry, I'm kind of fiddling with it here. There, that's the angle I want there. Okay. Oh, it is it. 30. Okay, so we're close to what's being matched here. The upper line is kind of running through this button. We've got it there. It's not exact, but it's good enough. Looks like they might be at like a slightly steeper angle, and this is actually drawn back just a little bit, but it's gonna be good enough. Okay. To draw the front of the trigger, click Create Fit Point Spline. Begin and end the spline at the line you drew in step 4 and add several points to roughly describe the trigger shape. So it looks like they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes. So we're going to do the same using spline, fit point spline. And we'll go like this. 1. So that's 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, and so we've already kind of gotten the general shape. You know, we could do some adjustment here to get closer. And right now I'm just moving the points. I'm not changing the shape. Well, I am changing the shape, but I'm not using the magnitude and angle changes that are also possible at each one of these nodes. Down here, something I can do, well, one thing I'm gonna wanna do is put a tangent constraint between this and this. So you can see now that this segment flows nicely right into my spline. And I can do that on both edges here. So, well, that went poorly, simply because I'm gonna exit out of that. All right, it snapped the wrong direction for me. So if I kind of force it in the right direction here, when I go back and click constrain this to this, it should now, yeah, see, that's the shape that I wanted. It curved out this way. I wanted it to curve back towards the line segment. Okay, we're fairly close there. And again, to make this, I'm only moving the nodes. I'm not messing with the handles of the spline, which are these green guys, which I could if I wanted to. You know, we could go in and we could change this up a little bit, but I find that it's going to be easier, at least to get a first order approximation, to just move the point itself. All right, where are we at? To ensure that the spline remains tangent, okay, we already did that. We used tangent constraints between the spline ends and the straight lines to which they've been attached. So we've already done that. Use your mouse to drag the spline to control the point and handles into a position where the shape roughly matches the trigger shape. So we did that. Press L to open the line tool again and draw 3 lines to add a rectangular section to the back end of the trigger. Okay. I'm going to use the line tool. Is that what they said to do? Yeah, line tool. The reason I'm using line is because if I use rectangle, it's going to draw the rectangle horizontally, and I want to go at the same angle that I was just at. So if I click line, and then I'm just going to arbitrarily put this like so. All right, and then I'm going to go in and put a parallel constraint between this line and this line. And, oh, I don't have to do that. Oh, I don't have to do that. I see why now. Because we have a perpendicular constraint here and here and here. So we already know that this line is parallel to this line. I didn't realize those were created automatically. So that's good. Okay, 20 by 5 is what we're going to dimension it at. Got to be careful here not to define just a horizontal or vertical component of this. That's not playing nicely, so let's try doing it this way. There we go. Okay, and you saw when I created that 20 millimeter dimension that this point left this line, and we want it to be coincident. So I'm going to apply a coincident constraint so that this point or this corner lies on this line at all times. Nice. Okay, one thing we haven't used yet is the trim feature which is a modify tool. So if you have 2 points or 2 line segments that have met and you have a little bit of, say, excess, you can go in and click trim, and you're going to click on one side of the line that you want to trim, and you're going to, as you're clicked, well, there it is. Sorry, in Inventor, you click and drag through it. Let's go backwards. In this, you're just going to click on the segment you want to trim. So it'll trim it back to where the spline and the straight line segment meet. Let's see, do we need that up here? No, we don't. All right. So they're going to have us center this thing at 12.5 millimeters. So 12.5 plus 12.5 on this side, that's 25. And then this remaining 5 is going to make up, our total 30 here. Another way we could find center or define center. Well, let's just do it their way. That's the most straightforward. So 12.5. Okay. I'm going to clean this drawing up just a little bit. There we go. All right. When you're happy with the result, press home to return to the home view, save the file, and then continue to the next module. All right, we are done with lesson 4. So nice thing here, or at least what they're representing, is you can create what's seemingly a pretty complex shape fairly easily using both Canvas as a tool and then using spline to kind of curve fit or to complex curves within the canvas. All right, nice.